Ma'am, please, halka se down. Down. Yes. Yeah, look here. Look here. Ma'am. Yes. थोड़ा पीछे कर लो.
Coming back to her college at this point.
College. You are an inspiration for our student community, past, present, and future.
Serve in public life, but fear the pitfalls that
I also heard that Hindu College is now placed number 1 in the literacy system. So very proud to hear that. Well done, congratulations. 30-something years ago, when I was a sociology student, navigating the vibrant yet somewhat overwhelming streets of Delhi, the city was on the cusp of transformation. It was pre-liberalization India. Sri Lanka had already liberalized. India was making a much more gradual transition, and I remember arriving here and Pepsi had just begun, and that was seen as a big deal then. I remember the conversations that we used to have at the time, not just in the classrooms, I would say, especially not in the classrooms, but more on the lawns, over endless cups of Jai Singh's tea, chai, about social structures. Jai Singh's lawn still remains, but I don't think he's here any longer. I'm sorry to hear that. All those conversations we had about inequality, feminism, human development, that felt both urgent and necessary. Politics and myriad other subjects, films, drama, theatre, we talked about everything. Of course, as young people, starry-eyed and idealistic, we naturally thought we knew it all. And that changing the world was an easy task, and all we had to do was leave Hindu College and get out there, and the world was ours. I also recall some of the discussions in sociology and the deep realization that understanding society meant understanding people, their struggles, their aspirations, their resilience. Just as much as I am thankful to the Government of India for making it possible for me to study at Hindu College, I'm grateful to all my teachers, one of whom is still here, Miss Achala. I think she's somewhere here. Others who have moved on to other institutions. They didn't just teach me theories, but encouraged me to think critically, to question, and to never accept injustice as inevitable. The Delhi I knew at that time was different from the metropolis you experience today. But even then, it pulsed with energy, diversity, and the promise of what India could become. To my mind, however, what makes Delhi truly unique still remains unchanged, and that is Delhi's ability to absorb people from everywhere, to embrace diversity, and most importantly, to teach resilience. It made me, a young woman from Sri Lanka, far away, quite far away, to feel very much at home and to feel accepted, and that part of me still belongs to Delhi. I believe that education, compassion, and empathy must go hand in hand. Understanding societal structures matter little if we don't understand the human beings within them. Whether you become a doctor, engineer, astronaut, civil engineer, entrepreneur, politician, or anything at all, let compassion and empathy guide your expertise. Let your learning further humanity. The most intelligent mind is incomplete without a compassionate and empathetic heart. This was very pertinent advice that I received when I was offered this opportunity to take on politics as full-time profession. And when one of my colleagues told me, don't be afraid, sometimes life throws things at you, which if you shouldn't think too much about, you have to just go with it and grab it and go take the decision and plunge in and go forward. Remain open. I think that's the lesson I learned. Remain open to life's opportunities. Never think that you know how your life is going to unfold. You cannot ever know. I never knew. And I think that is the most wonderful thing about life and about what we are equipped through education to be able to face. Also remember that democracy is not a spectator sport. It's hard work. Active citizenship means more than just voting or commenting online or presenting your opinion on Instagram, on Twitter, or whatever else social platform you're on. It means engaging with your community, standing up for justice, and contributing to the common good in whatever capacity you can. The beauty of the democracy, something that India and Sri Lanka share in this region as unbroken democracies since independence, is that ordinary citizens like me, like you, shaped by public education and shared struggles, can rise to serve their nations. I want to also urge you to always build bridges in whatever context you're placed. Don't build barriers, whether it is within educational institutions, homes, offices, between nations, or communities. Remember to always find ways to collaborate and partner. The sustainable future of our countries, regions, and indeed the planet depends on collaboration and partnership. For me, returning to Hindu College is also so much about the India-Sri Lanka relationship. 22 nautical miles of the ocean, the Pork Strait, separates our two countries. But what unites us is so much more. Our relationship, rooted in civilizational, cultural, religious, and historical ties, stretches back more than 2 millennia. And I should also add cricket. We are asked, as strange as it may seem, our civilizational bond is also much about education, teaching, and the empowerment of the individual. Sri Lanka's written history records that in the 3rd century BC, Emperor Ashoka sent his son Mahinda to Sri Lanka to share the teachings of Buddha. His daughter Sanghamitra followed, carrying a sapling of the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, under which the Buddha attained enlightenment. That sapling has grown into a tree which is one of the most revered sites in Sri Lanka still. Reverend Sanghamitra established the women's monastic order in my country, empowering women both spiritually and socially. India and Sri Lanka are bound by a common heritage of tradition, values, and mutual respect. These cultural ties are woven into the fabric of our societies. So we may disagree with each other at times, we may not like everything about each other, but I think that's like families, that's like real relationships. You still learn how to live together and work together. At the end of the day, you respect each other. But what I want to emphasize today is the modern dimension of this ancient friendship. India has been an unwavering partner in Sri Lanka's journey, supporting our economic recovery, providing critical assistance during times of crisis, and standing up with us in our pursuit of stability and growth. When Sri Lanka faced her most severe economic crisis in 2022, India extended credit lines, fuel, and essential supplies. These are not forgotten. They are written in the memory of our people. This wasn't just this diplomatic assistance, it was the hand of a true friend extended in our darkest hour. Sri Lanka, for her part, has consistently upheld a solemn pledge, never to permit her soil to be used in a manner that threatens the security of India. This principle remains sacrosanct. Our partnership, as you can see, is clearly not episodic. It is structural. It is not a temporary convenience of today. It is a necessity of tomorrow. The government of India's generous support for educational infrastructure in Sri Lanka has been transformative. From English language laboratories in our provinces to vocational training centers, smart classrooms in rural schools, and support for financially disadvantaged university students. These initiatives are not just about infrastructure, they are about investing in our shared future and the potential of our young people. The bilateral cooperation in human resource development, including training programs for teachers and officials, reflects our mutual understanding that education is the foundation of national progress. As Sri Lanka charts its course for the future, we see India not just as a neighbor, but as a trusted partner in our quest for development and prosperity. The government of Sri Lanka recognizes education as a primary responsibility and is committed to reducing the financial burden on families while ensuring equal access to quality education across the country. We have a proud history of free education in our country, Madam Principal, that goes back many years, where we provide free education from grade 1 right up to your undergraduate years. And that has been a big part of our success in being able to maintain good human development indicators, even when we've fallen behind in other ways. Vocational education is also a national priority for us now to bridge the gap between classroom learning and demands of the job market. As we enter a new era, it is important that our two countries strengthen our economic ties, enhance people-to-people connections through exchanges like this, and advance regional and global cooperation. The future holds immense potential, and we must work together to realize it. The strength of the Sri Lanka-India partnership lies in our collective action, in our shared commitment to addressing challenges that transcend borders, whether they involve environmental concerns, economic development, counterterrorism efforts, maritime issues, or ensuring growth that benefits the peoples of both our countries. For India and Sri Lanka, opportunities are boundless. What is required is the wisdom to seize them. The India-Sri Lanka partnership is also an opportunity for people like you, because you are tomorrow's leaders and entrepreneurs. Whether it's collaborating on renewable energy projects like solar and wind, digital services, technological innovation, or sustainable agriculture and food security, the opportunities are limitless. The future of the Indian Ocean region depends on young people like you, who can see beyond borders and build partnerships rooted in trust, leaders who can build an even more inclusive, prosperous, connected, and mutually beneficial India. An India and Sri Lanka partnership, so that future generations in both our countries can thrive in an interconnected, interdependent, peaceful world. I want to say to all the students who are here today, you stand at the threshold of extraordinary possibilities. The education you are receiving at Hindu College is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. Use it wisely. Use it to build bridges, not walls. Use it to heal divisions, not deepen them. Use it to serve, not just to succeed. And I invite you to look south, across the Palk Strait. Consider Sri Lanka not just as a neighbor, but a collaborator and partner. We are a country of ideas and a generous and resilient people. In terms of UNDP's Human Development Index, like I mentioned before, Sri Lanka ranks in the high HDI category, and it is the highest rank in South Asia. We are a country that is rebuilding, eager to learn, teach, and co-create with India. It would be a pleasure to see increasing student exchanges between Indian and Sri Lankan students and researchers working and researching together in institutions, startups, art and culture and other fields. I would invite you to not measure success only by titles or salaries. Measure it by how many lives you touch, how often and how much of injustice you challenge, and how many bridges you build, not just in societies and communities immediately around you, but regionally and globally. Work to build a better, kinder world for all. Be global in your imagination. Be regional and global in impact. Be conscious of our common humanity and remain deeply human in your values. Thank you for having me here today. I wish you all a fulfilling journey ahead and a bright future. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Science professors here who will tell you that politics is about power, and transformation of those power structures is what politics is about. And without that, I don't think you can see any kind of transformation in the world. So let's change what we don't like about politics, which is the way in which the cultures of some political parties, the corruption, the nepotism, the distance from normal, ordinary citizens. Let's change that, but don't reject politics, because without politics, you won't be able to change the world, and that's what we have to do.
You are one of South Asia's women leaders at such high office. What do you think is needed to create a more enabling space for women in politics?
Oh, great question. That was one of the things we used to talk about even here, because it was a perennial problem. Women in public spaces, whether it's in politics, whether it's in art, whether it's in business, often face greater challenges than men do. And I think it comes, I'm sorry to say this, but we live in a patriarchal world still, and those structures still need to change. But in that journey, I think we also need to avoid culture wars where we pit ourselves against each other and polarize ourselves and think that there's a them and us, right? And I think that it's more about changing the structures that keep certain people, because of their sexual or gender identity, away from resources, away from accessing opportunities.
To please give way.
She's talking a lot about history. Make her come back to sociology.
It's a moment of immense pride to welcome you back to the Department of Sociology, Prime Minister of a country is visiting a classroom.
पीछे करो, थोड़ा सा भैया, पीछे करो।